What's up, YouTube? I'm Robert, and this is the Ari Wasatch Peak. Let's talk about whether or not it's worth it.
What's going on here? Oh shit.
Alright, so let's be transparent. Ari sent me this frame, which, to my surprise, got me to switch from riding Santa Cruz to Ari. I didn't expect that, nor did I expect that would lead to me becoming sponsored by Ari. However, I bought this hardtail on my own, so I could see what the buying experience was like for a regular person. You might be asking yourself why I keep saying Ari, and the bike clearly says Fezzari on it. The short story is they changed their name, but everything else about them has stayed the same. This frame hasn't been updated yet, which is why I assume it's on sale. I don't know. Either way, I really wanted to see what kind of build you get for $1,000, how something like that rides, and if Ari's buying experience is really as good as their marketing hype is about it. As far as the buying experience, I don't feel like it could have gone any better online. It basically walks you through the purchase step by step. Pick the build, the color, and the size. They also have a custom fit tool that will help them customize your build at no extra cost. They have options for pedals, droppers, tubeless, cushcore, and even frame protection. If you don't have tools, they got you covered. They have kits for that too. Honestly, it felt like a full bike shop experience from the comfort of my own chair. On top of that, the next day they called me to confirm what I purchased, and I received text messages all along the way like, "Hey, we're building your bike today," or "It's getting boxed up to ship." It really blew my mind and wasn't the experience I had with another direct-to-consumer company that I bought a bike from in the past. I've had this bike in my garage for so long, my buddy's bagging on me saying, "You don't even know if they sent you the right bike." So hopefully we find out it's the right color and the right bike. So it turns out they did ship the right bike and the right color. But be aware the bike comes in two different boxes, which somehow weren't on the same truck, so don't freak out if you only get half of it. It's been so long I forgot this is a plus size tire. Right on. Don't even remember what I ordered anymore. I was really impressed with how well everything was packed and the attention to detail for people that may be new to biking. Even if you've never used a quick release, they got directions for that. And a little video too. That's really impressive. Over the years, I've owned a few Santa Cruz Chameleons, and I really enjoy riding a hardtail. The way the bike forces you to find clean lines and ride loose is great for beginners and seasoned riders. As I drove the Wasatch Peak up to my local trails in Auburn, I was really excited to try something new. Unlike the Chameleon, the Wasatch Peak has less of an enduro geometry and more of an XC geo. So I expected it to be super efficient to pedal, but maybe not handle the chunky stuff as well. For the first ride, I'm riding this bike completely stock, except for one thing. I put a dropper on it because beside getting a bike's price down, there's absolutely no good reason to ride a mountain bike without one. So this is the deal. I am not going to ride this bike without a dropper. I will use the saddle though. I'm definitely going to try it out. I'm actually curious. I mean, it looks pretty decent to tell you the truth, so we'll see how that plays out. This is where I ran into the first problem I had with the bike. I normally use a 210 1-up dropper, and you can shim it down to 190 millimeters. And even though the seat tube will accommodate a longer dropper, the water bottle mounts kept me from being able to put it all the way down. So I tried a P&W 200 millimeter dropper, and even though it was shimmed down to 175 and slammed, it still wasn't low enough. So my advice is, don't assume the dropper you were using in your last bike will work for this one. Yeah, seat is definitely too high. I'm used to riding high-end bikes, and as I pulled this off the truck for the first time, I expected the forks and the brakes to be horrible. I also didn't know what to expect with the low-end shifting. However, I figured the tires and the seat would be dialed. Let's just say my expectations weren't accurate. I didn't test the shifting at all. I honestly just put the wheel on. Pretty stoked with mechanics over at Ari because this thing's shifting like a dream right now. As I made my way up the first climb, you could tell the XC Geo makes this thing climb like a billy goat. I'm gonna start out a little timid because I have no clue how this fork is gonna feel. And other than my, definitely need to bed those brakes in a little. Do yourself a favor. Remember to do that before your first ride. Right now I'm questioning, is the bedding in actually gonna happen, or is this just how the brakes are? The bike is supposed to ship with Tektro brakes, but somehow I ended up with the SRAM level brakes that are on the higher price build. As a guy that's not a fan of SRAM brakes, once the pads were bedded in, I was completely blown away by the braking power. Unfortunately, I can't speak to the brakes that normally ship with the bike, but I can say the levels were surprisingly good.
Punchy little climb. Sure, it looks flat as hell on camera, but just want to get your heart rate going every time. Front end super planted, even pushing pretty hard. I'm pretty stoked about that.
On the other hand, I had a totally different experience when I needed to ratchet my pedals while climbing.
These hubs right here are definitely not in line with the same quality that I'm used to with Onyx or Project 321. The engagement has messed me up a couple of times where I try to quick twitch back pedal over something and it's just the power's not there, and then it makes me mess up. It honestly is like a little bit of a reality check of showing me how much my equipment really helps out. But for $1,000, so far I can't be upset. So let's see what else she's got.
Like the brakes, there was another part that I initially thought would be horrible, but to my surprise, it was much better than I expected. The Suntour XCR 34 air fork has 120 millimeters of travel. It even has a rebound adjustment, which isn't typical on low-end forks. On top of that, the lockout is no joke. It's basically a rigid fork. This thing really shocked me with how well it handled everything I threw at it. And let's be honest, I'm not a little dude. My assumption is it may not hold up as well long term, but right out the gate, it definitely did better than I anticipated.
What was that? Oh, it's a deer. Did you see that? Let's see if we can catch him. Yeah, there he is. Oh, that was fun.
The proof is in the pudding.
Nice.
The fork is as fast as a deer. As I made my way through the ride, it was interesting to me how my experience was so different from what I expected. For instance, the saddle, it looked like I was going to love it. I know saddles are a personal preference thing, but I can't wait to swap it out. Another one of those preference things that I knew I'd hate, but I gave it a shot anyway, was the grips.
Feeling those grips slide on this stuff.
Let's just say, if you're not using lock-on grips, you're doing it wrong. While we're talking about the cockpit, the SRAM SX shifted great for the price point, and also has a 12-speed cassette, so you have really good range when pedaling. Oh, and some of you may have noticed, the pedals that I run are huge. Bottom line is this, the Pedaling Innovation pedals may look funny, but they feel better than any pedal I've tried so far. And despite what people think, you don't get more rock strikes. If you use my link and show more, it truly helps the channel and doesn't cost you any extra. So a big thanks to you if you decide to do that. One of the things I've always enjoyed about my Chameleons is that you can run 29 or 27.5 plus wheels. The same thing applies to the Wasatch Peak. I chose the 27.5 plus wheels because I think the extra volume in the tires helps with a little more cushion on the bumpy stuff. Woo! I also like that you can run lower tread patterns that roll fast but still provide great grip. The Kenda Havoc 2.8s that Ari spec'd on this build are exactly that. Between those and the tubeless ready WTB I-35 rims, these wheels are solid. So you may remember there was a bit of an issue the first time I rode the bike.
What's going on here? Oh shit. My crank is falling off.
More than likely it was just a fluke because the cap that covers the bolt that holds the crank on fell off. I've had this happen on multiple bikes and actually have had to replace them in the past. I felt like this was an opportunity for Ari to really shine or give me the answer that I was expecting. And so I sent him a text message, said, hey, look, this bike's been in my garage for 6 months. I just finally rode it for the first time and the crank was falling off. I sent him a picture and I expected them to tell me like, go pound sand, you know, you've had this bike for a while, but nicely. And instead they responded with, oh man, that really sucks. Let me get you out another one. And within a couple of days, I got this package that had the replacement part in it and my mind was just blown by their customer service. As I start replacing some of the parts on this bike, I've been really reflecting on the whole process from beginning to end. And the thing that really stands out to me the most was the buying experience was amazing and the customer support just blew me away. I bought that bike just like any other person.
So that customer service rep had no idea that I had this channel. And they honestly went above and beyond what I expected. I don't know if they're gonna redesign this bike or just change the name to actually say Ari, but if they do redesign it, there's a couple of things that I'd love to see. I'd love to see this seat get a little bit lower so that it makes it easier for you to get back over the back of it whenever you're getting into some technical stuff. I'd also like to see the head tube be a little bit more slack, just so it makes it a little bit more fun when you're getting rowdy. Overall, I think that most people buy a hardtail, they're just getting into mountain biking and they want something that's gonna kind of grow with their experience level. And I think the XC geometry is not as conducive to having a good time downhill as the changes that I mentioned probably would. Personally, I'm really looking forward to putting the parts that I love on this bike and getting out and seeing how much it changes the ride. Before I get going, I want you to remember one thing. It only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one.